We get some big news breaking on Letitia James I want to get to, as well as this one. It looks like Donald Trump is firing his first cabinet member. Mike Waltz, who was over at NSA, National Security Advisor, is reportedly out. This is over Signalgate. I have a lot to share with you on all of that, but we begin here on Letitia James. Letitia James in a lot of hot water. I mean, we knew this day was coming, right? It just took a little bit of due diligence. Somebody went back a lot of years to get all the goods on her, and sure enough, there's a lot of them. Okay, so they're filing now an ethics complaint against Letitia James. This is a big deal. This is America First Legal. Yes, it is a conservative group. Yes, it is Trump-leaning. Yes, Stephen Miller started it, okay? But it doesn't change the fact that they found some really interesting, important stuff. And now they're bringing this forward here to the state of New York, saying we need to have an ethics investigation. This is a big deal. This is an ethics complaint against her because what she is allegedly possibly guilty of doing is actually really, really, really significant. I mean, really significant because, you know, you're the Attorney General. You can't actually be telling people that you live in one state and that that's your primary residence and getting the benefits of the mortgage in that state while you live in another. I mean, for goodness sakes, you were even thinking about running for governor at one point, weren't you, Letitia? I mean, that doesn't really work to be telling everybody that your primary residence is in one location when in fact you live in New York. So this is the new call right now to disbar Letitia James. They are asking for an ethics investigation, and I'm telling you guys, they're going to get it. Take a look here. You know, the part of this letter that they sent to the New York Bar Association shows that basically, this William Pulte found that, and has actually gone to one Pam Bondi and requested that Pam Bondi do an investigation as well. So like there's going to be investigations up the wazoo. They found that there was evidence that Ms. James had falsified some bank documents and property records. Oh gosh darn it, doesn't that sound kind of familiar to what she accused Donald Trump of doing? Because he inflated some square footage. Even though it was a private transaction, this is different. This is not a private transaction, right? She's benefiting from government-backed assistance loans and more favorable loan terms. While serving as the Attorney General for the state of New York, Ms. James purchased a home in Norfolk, Virginia, and in the process declared that she intended to, quote, occupy this property as my principal residence. I mean, think about it. She's the AG in the state of New York, and yet she's saying, oh, I'm going to occupy this property as my principal residence. This meant that she would have had to have been a full-time resident of Norfolk. Forgive me. The obvious reason for making this certification would be to obtain a lower interest rate on the mortgage loan. Additionally, on another occasion, Ms. James appears to have misrepresented the number of dwelling units in a multi-dwelling building that she owned. She continued to misrepresent the number of dwelling units in subsequent years to obtain additional benefits to which she was not entitled, they write, including a mortgage refinancing through a federally backed lender at a lower rate than what would have typically been offered in the private market. Okay, this is really bad. Like, her problems have just swollen to epic levels. She's come out and she's trying to diffuse it a little bit. I'm going to get to that. But the America First legal team is saying, you know, first of all, what Mr. Pulte is showing is, or alleging, I should say, is that one, there's the issue of the primary residence, right? She didn't live in Virginia, even though she was saying she lived in Virginia. She lived, in fact, in New York. And then they're also saying that she basically tried to falsify the number of dwelling units so that she could qualify for a certain federal housing program and benefit from that lower mortgage rate. It's really bad, guys. I mean, what do they say? Those that live in glass houses should not throw stones. It's kind of amazing because she was going after Trump for something that was actually far less, again, because it was a private transaction. But here they write, as the New York Rules of Professional Conduct states, a lawyer is an officer of the legal system who has a duty to uphold the law and promote the administration of justice. A lawyer should further the public's understanding, trust, and confidence in the rule of law and the justice system because in the constitutional democracy, legal institutions depend on the popular participation and support to maintain their authority. I mean, further, the legal profession is largely self-governing. So if you have a legal profession with people like Attorney General of New York, Letitia James, that are willing to engage in fraud, this is what is being alleged. And look, they got the documents to prove it. She's out there saying, oh, it's 4 units instead of 5. And she's saying my primary residence is in Norfolk, Virginia, instead of in the state of New York, where she's holding political office. I mean, I think that pretty much sums it up and says it all, don't you? I think this is going to be a serious problem. I mean, this is a massive issue for Letitia and actually should result in her being disbarred, because this is the kind of conduct that would get you disbarred. In all seriousness, I mean, they have something here. Fox outlined some of these allegations. Let me go to this just recently.
James tried to prosecute the now President Trump in his second term. I just want to read a couple things. Criminal referral, then a response from James's office here in New York. James, for both properties listed above, this deals with real estate now, going back decades, really, appears to have falsified records in order to meet certain lending requirements and receive favorable loan terms, all right? Her office responded by saying the AG James is focused every single day on protecting New Yorkers. Specialist administration weaponizes the federal government against the rule of law and the Constitution. She will not be intimidated by bullies, no matter who they are. The issue here is what property she owned and whether or not she owned it, whether or not she was married, and whether or not her father was involved in all this. Without going into the weeds of the details, this stems from a case in 1983 and the year 2000. That's a minimum of 25 years. Someone had to do some digging to find this. Am I right about that?
Yeah. Bill, the most I know about the case I just learned from you. I saw it on breaking news this morning. This case was sent to us from Bill Pulte. We have not seen it. I inquired right before I walked out here. No one in my office has read it yet. We haven't looked at it. Of course, we'll be reviewing it. You just told me more than I've heard about it so far.
Hey, we aim to please with some breaking news of our own. Indeed. All right. Attorney General Pam Bondi.
So Pam Bondi is pretty happy that they found this. And yes, it required some due diligence. And Letitia's going to say, oh, it's so political. It's so political. They're going after me because I went after him. Well, you better believe it, honey bunny. It is political. And you went after him. And like I said, those that live in glass houses should not throw stones. You had to have known that you did some illegal stuff yourself. And yet you were willing to go after him. She's trying to downplay this. Oh, this is no big deal. They're just going after me for political stuff. She is with Chris Hayes.
To these baseless allegations at the appropriate time and in the appropriate way. But I am 100% confident that it will not result in any criminal indictment or action against me, and that it is nothing more than a revenge tour, and that Donald Trump just ultimately got to the J's and I was next.
The key allegation, again, it sounds like you don't want to address them here, but I'm just going to put it out so people understand that a property that was owned in Virginia, and a mortgage that you signed, if I'm not mistaken, for that property, that they say you falsely represented yourself as a resident of Virginia, and that was essentially amounts to mortgage fraud since you're a resident of New York. What is your response to that?
It's baseless. Everybody knows I'm a resident of New York, specifically Brooklyn. And again, we will respond at the appropriate time in the appropriate way to these baseless allegations. And some media outlets like the Daily News over the weekend has indicated as much.
Okay. Baseless allegations, really baseless. They're all just political because you went after him and therefore now he's going after you. You know, I remember when you thought that everything was just being reduced to politics, right? You tried to tell us that you didn't campaign against him. Oh, but it turned out you did, right? Because there's this little thing called the internet and we got the tape. We're going to roll it.
The President of the United States has complained that I'm engaging in some sort of political witch hunt, that I've got some personal vendetta against him, that I campaigned against him. That is not true.
This illegitimate president who sits in the White House. That president, because he's not my president, he's an illegitimate president. His days are numbered. His days are numbered. We've got to get ready to mobilize, and we've got to get ready to agitate and irritate until victory is won, but more importantly, until Trump is defeated. We will all rise up and resist this man. And ultimately,
respect that you gave to President Obama, and that is absolutely no respect at all.
Donald Trump has got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. Donald Trump has got to go. Hey, hey. Ho, ho. And the days of Donald Trump are numbered.
Okay, I won't torture you guys with more, but you get the impression, right? She was extremely political despite saying, oh, this isn't politics. And by the way, I don't think that Trump would dispute that he's being political. I mean, he's like, you came for me, and well, it just so happens that some people may be coming for you, including Pam Bondi. But, you know, Pam Bondi has to. Like, you can't not act on this stuff, guys. When you're hearing, for example, that somebody was, you know, residing in one place and yet applying for a loan that would provide them with a better interest rate, courtesy of the federal government, because they said they were living in another place, that's a problem. Oh, and then there's the whole, you know, father on the original mortgage who was listed as a husband allegation. That just gets into, like, I don't know, Ilhan Omar territory. I'm sorry. But I think she's got it coming to her. I really do. I think she's scared. She's got it coming to her, and it can't happen fast enough, because I'm just going to tell you this. You know what? We can't have lawyers that are rabid political animals like Letitia James in the system, that are, by the way, abusing the system, allegedly, for their own benefit so that they can get better mortgage rates. And then they go out after Donald Trump. By the way, not even the Court of Appeals thinks she has a case. Remember when Judith Vale, representing Letitia James, got out there in front of the judges and said, before she got anything out of her mouth, got hit with a whole, we don't think you have a case here. I'm still waiting on them. Yeah. They should have kicked this thing out by now, but I think somebody's using it as leverage. Corruption, right? We need to root out this corruption. But anyway, let me take you back to the appellate court, where they basically told the lawyer representing Tish James she was high.
May it please the court, Judith Vale for the New York Attorney General's office. All of the defendants repeatedly violated...
Ms. Vale, can you identify any previous case in which the Attorney General sued under Executive Law 6312 to upset a private business transaction that was between equally sophisticated partners, where the supposed victim had the ability and legal obligation to discover the allegedly misrepresented matters by conducting its own due diligence, where the supposed wrongdoer advised the supposed victim through written disclaimers to conduct its own due diligence and to draw its own conclusions, where the alleged misrepresentation almost entirely concerned inherently subjective valuations of properties and businesses.
Yes.
And where the victim never complained about any fraud in the transactional losses from it. Because I've gone through the cases which you've cited, and all of them always involved the consumer protection aspect. It involved protection of the market.
Oh, several responses.
And I want to add to his question, and little to no impact on the public marketplace.
Exactly. Okay. So, Letitia, good luck. Good luck with all that. I have a feeling you're going to be disbarred. I have a feeling the penalties could even be more severe than that.